Who would believe them? So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph, and the baby, who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. The shepherds did not fully appreciate the significance of what they had just seen and heard. Obviously, the event was extraordinary enough that the boys took action. This was much bigger than them and they were going to be a part of it. They saw the baby, then did what boys that age would do, they went and told others. Who would actually believe them? The story was outlandish: angel of the Lord, a host of angels, the chosen Messiah being born in clothes in a trough, and the mere shepherd boys. Who would believe them? But that's the point, isn't it? No one in their right mind would believe such a story. And their stories would have agreed with one another. So, either what they were saying was the gospel truth or they were very foolish for leaving their flocks in the middle of their ships to see some fantastical baby. And that may be why God chose to entrust these boys with that message. Throughout history, God has entrusted boys and girls, men and women to spread the news about this baby's birth. The way it comes out may be awkward and muddled, but what matters is the fact that there are those of us who have seen the Savior. Yes, on the face of it, the story seems fantastical, but millions have believed this same story. How it is told changes, but the message is still the same: a baby boy in a manger changed the world. Your story, my story. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. The shepherds left the fields to find the baby Messiah. They returned changed. Everything about them changed: how they looked at their job of tending sheep, how they interacted with other people, and how they were motivated to share what they had seen, to countless people who would never ever believe them. They would be stared at walking down the street because others would envy and despise them for such a fantastic tale of their time in the fields. The people would have been divided about the few snippets the shepherd boys had told them. They visited the Messiah after the angel of the Lord and a host of angels heralded his birth. Or they might be branded as unusual and antisocial because of the fabulous story they told. Of course, much of the above is speculation based on how we would react. But regardless of how others viewed their story, they knew the truth because they lived it. We each have a story too, perhaps not as dramatic as the shepherd boys, but a story nonetheless. Our story is unique to us. No one in the world has the same story. Even the shepherds had slightly different versions of the story because they lived it through different eyes. What's your story? How often are you telling it? The glory of God. The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Mere days after the Christmas story, from the shepherd's viewpoint, comes this verse from Psalm 19. It's a continuation of the Luke 2 text we just discussed if you see it through the shepherd's eyes. What did they see that was so fantastic? The angel of the Lord, the host of angels, and of course, the baby in the manger. It started in the heavens and proceeded through the shepherd boys and to the people as they spread the word. The glory of God, the manifestation of the holiness of God. John Piper. The general understanding of this text is the creation and all its wonders, but what could be more important to display the glory of God than the chosen Messiah being born? As we head into the new year, consider these words from John Piper. The glory of God is the goal of all things. Whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31. All things were created for God's glory. Isaiah 43 verses 6 to 7. The great mission of the church is to declare God's glory among the nations. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all the peoples. Psalms 96 verses 1 to 3, Ezekiel 39 verse 21, Isaiah 66 verses 18 to 19. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. The heavens. If you've been able to look up into the sky at night for any length of time, you know these verses to be true. Often, though, we get distracted and are unable to focus for even a few minutes. The exception of course would be those who've ever seen the northern lights. You will stay until the light show is finished. The heavens do talk, though I don't suppose what they say has any deep philosophical or theological meaning except to shine forth the glory of God. Do it sometime this week. Go outside at night and just focus on the nighttime sky. Take these words with you and meditate on them. You'll be glad you did. If they're pouring forth speech and revealing knowledge, we might just want to be in on those sessions. In the heavens, God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. Rerin, to go. As a continuation to the first few verses, David expands on the glories of creation. He gives two vivid metaphors for the sun, a bridegroom chomping at the bit, so to speak, to get married, and a runner, Rerin, to go. The sun meets the new day ready to spread light and warmth wherever it goes. Of course, that's not what happens because the sun never really sets, we just don't see it for 12 hours. Instead, it goes and gives others light and warmth. Let me ask you something. Would you say you are about giving light and warmth wherever you go whenever you can? I know, we all have bad days, but I'm saying, in general. Or are you cold and prickly? If the latter, what is one thing you can do today to change that? Jesus himself said we were the light of the world, Matthew 5 verse 14. If therefore, we are the light of the world, how then should we conduct ourselves? The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The Bible refreshes the soul with all the bad news and pessimism we see in the world. As Canadian singer Anne Murray sang, we sure could use a little good news today. When we're weary and troubled by the cares of life, the Bible refreshes the soul. When we're discouraged about where the world is headed, the Bible refreshes the soul. And when it seems like the whole world is against us today, it is the Bible that refreshes the soul.